Welcome to Call Before Showing, a podcast where we help real estate pros navigate the emotional ups and downs of the real estate business
and hear the stories of real people who buckle in and ride the roller coaster with us.
Are you ready? Let's go.
Welcome to Call Before Showing. This is Alex Eldridge, and I'm here with my co-host, Alison McPherson.
Hey.
How's it going with you today, Alison?
Good. It's a great day. We're going to talk about the highs and lows of 2018. We're going to talk about our New Year's resolutions, if we have them, if we hate the idea of New Year's resolutions. And we're going to talk about what our goals are for the new year. So let's get started. How do you think 2018 went? Do you love 2018? Do you look back fondly on 2018? Or are you pumped for 2019?
2018 was a really intense year. It had really high highs and really low lows. The highs were incredible. I mean, I had a baby in January of 2018, and it was a wonderful, amazing thing that happened and a beautiful experience. But at the same time, I kind of suffered a little bit with my mental health, the struggle not to be able to work the same way I had in previous years. This was my first year as a mom, and so it was just a huge learning curve. And so it was, great things happened, but it was really, really difficult for those reasons. It was also really difficult financially because I thought that I was just going to be taking 6 weeks off and getting right back to work. And a couple months before I was due, we decided to relocate. So we packed up everything and we moved up to Northern Virginia because my husband got a great opportunity. I was going into 2018 as a brand new mom and also had no idea how I was going to start all over again. So it was 365 days of uphill battle for the most part.
Yeah.
I think because it was such a challenging 2018, I think that I've set myself up for a really successful 2019.
It's one of those things where sometimes going through hard things teaches you that you can prepare for the good things of the next year. And so having a fresh start is refreshing, especially when you go through kind of like a hard year.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like I am just so energized and ready for this new year.
I kind of feel the same way. And I wonder if maybe everybody feels this way. Like if 2018 was just crappy for everybody and everyone decided you know what, we're going to be more upbeat about this 2019 thing. Because 2018 was also really hard for me. So I hit my goal, which halfway through the year, I did not think I was going to hit my goal for...
Your business goal?
Yeah, my business goal. Yeah. And halfway through the year, I was like, there's no way in hell. There's absolutely no way that this many people are going to come out of the woodwork between July and December. And at the end of the year, it got crazy and I hit my goal, which was crazy.
That's awesome.
That was my high. And there were a lot of personal lows that we're not going to get into because we'll all be depressed at the end of the day. But I had a lot of things that derailed me throughout the year. And I just kept being okay, I'm going to put one wheel back on the road here. And somehow I hit my monetary goal. I don't know how that happened, but it happened. So that's good. But this year, I kind of feel like the end of last year was so crazy. I didn't have the time to really look at what I really want my life to look like and what I want my goals to look like. So this first couple weeks of January has been that for me, which has been really nice and refreshing. So I kind of feel like today is January 1st, and then tomorrow, I can really get to work on my goals.
I have a question about something you said.
Yeah.
Do you think that when we experience personal hardships, it's especially difficult in the line of work that we're in?
Yes.
It affects our business way more, and why do you think that is?
I think that is true, or at least for me, that's true, because I feel like when I'm at my best, when I am mentally in the game and I am focused, and when I'm focused, I'm productive. And when I'm productive, then all of the things kind of fall into place. Where if I'm not in the right mindset or I am just out of it and focused on something else, I feel like it kind of seeps into almost how I believe things will work out or not work out. So I'll go to a showing, and if I'm not in the right mindset, I'm like, man, I'm showing this house, but I don't think it will be the one that they like. Well, of course not, because you're not excited about it, dude,
Yeah,
So for me, when I'm personally kind of derailed a little bit and like, oh, feeling icky about things going on in my personal life, I feel like it just like kind of affects my overall like mood and how excited I am about things. And like the people who work with me, I think feed off of that. And so if I'm kind of meh, they're going to feel meh about every single thing, every single house that we're showing or whatever.
it's contagious.
Yeah, and I think part of sales and what we do is like getting people excited, you know? And if I'm not feeling excited, I think people feel it and they also like can't get there without me being there, you know?
Totally. I completely understand.
I think for me, like my mindset, if I'm like in the place like where everything's going to work out and I'm trusting that it's going to work out and whatever, then that gives me the tools to be able to be like excited and guide my clients into a positive outcome.
Especially if something is stealing energy away from your productivity.
Right.
I was in a training session today and our coach said that, you're going to get out as much as you put in. And so if there's something that's really affecting you and kind of taking your energy, then you can't get that much out because you're not putting that much in.
Right. You get back what you put out, right? So like if you're putting out lots of good vibes and not just woo-woo stuff. If you're sending out notes to your clients and you're checking in with them and you're like sending out happy things, then like happy stuff is going to come back to you because they're going to be like, Alex was thinking of me. Allison was thinking of me. And so like I'm going to throw a referral her way, you know?
I think it's also important when something negative happens in your life to give yourself some time before forcing yourself to get back into it.
Yes, I agree because last year, one of the hard things that happened for me personally was my grandfather passed away. And so all of a sudden, I was like jumping on a plane to go to Florida and go to his funeral. And then I was still working kind of while I was there. I had somebody watching my business, but there were some things that I needed to handle on my end. And I know that what I did during that time was like, it didn't have my full attention, it was messy.
It was half-assed.
Yeah, and, like, when it's messy, that's when you open up the door for, like, other crap to happen, you know? And so
Yeah.
I think if I would have just been like, "Listen, I'm taking this time. The world is not going to catch on fire while I'm gone. The person watching my business is fully capable of doing this." But I was just, like, in my head about the fact that I needed to handle it, and I totally didn't,
Yeah.
you know?
I also have a story similar to that. 2 years ago, I had a miscarriage, and literally the day after, I went to show property.
Yeah.
Because 1, I had a lead that I had been really trying to get out to look at property, and they weren't really giving me the time of day. They actually called me while I was in the hospital. And I was like, "Yeah, let's go tomorrow." And the next day I went and showed property, and I think it's just so important to give yourself that, like, respect in that space because my husband, my family was like, "What, you're going to work? Like, no, you need to stay home."
Mhm.
And I went, and the mood that I was bringing into that place was so sad and distraught, and I felt terrible and physically and all of those things that I think is just so important to give yourself that space and that respect and just know that like it's better for everyone if you step back.
Right. Regroup. It's really great to be able to just decide it's time to push the reset button. And you can do that not on January 1st. You can do that.
Any time of the year.
Yeah. And like if you have something that derails you, have your people that you call on that can help you, you know, in your office or not even just in your office, in your association. If you have somebody that you have met that you feel could, you know, be that support system for you, rely on them and like let them help you. Right.
That goes for personal life too. I think what you're saying is really important, but like I think that it's something that's universal and it goes for like if you need help with anything. We oftentimes are so afraid to ask for help and we don't want to burden other people. At least that's my personality, is that like I'm always afraid to ask for help because I don't want to put burden on anyone and I don't want to inconvenience anyone.
Right.
If you have a good support system, they'll be happy to do it.
Especially like if something like you have a miscarriage or somebody in your family dies or your pet dies, you know, it's so important to have that community. And so, and that's part of why I think we started this podcast is because I know that there are people that don't have that community. And so if you can find people in our Facebook group or following us on Instagram or whatever, like just good people, do it, because you need that support. And if you can't find it in your office, you have to find it somewhere. That's why we started this thing.
It sure is.
But all of that being said, we're pushing reset. We're starting 2019 with a bang. So, what are your goals for the year, Alex? Do you do New Year's resolutions?
I don't know how successful I am with them, but I love setting resolutions and giving it that really good go in January. No, I think that I, over the last couple years, have thought of like really realistic ones and have done pretty well with them. But this year, I think I set like 15 goals or something. I'm calling them goals, but it's the same thing. If you're giving yourself a goal at the beginning of the year, it's a New Year's resolution. Am I right or am I right?
Well, I'm like the anti New Year's resolution person. So,
Well, I decided to set different categories of goals, but some of them are really fun and I'm like really looking forward to them. Other ones are harder and I definitely am looking forward to the result of those. But I set goals for personal life, my health, my career, and then recreation. So recreation is really fun. It's like how many books I want to try to read by the end of the year and a couple things that I want to learn how to do. Like, do you want to know a fun fact about me?
yeah.
I don't know how to ride a bike.
You don't? Girl. So last year, I set a goal that I wanted to like find a hobby because I was doing my power sheets, which we'll get into on a totally different episode. I was working on it's a goal setting planner. I was doing a life evaluation and it was like hobbies and recreation. And I was like, I sell real estate. That's not a hobby. Like that is a job. And while you can have fun doing that, it is not recreation. Like you are a dummy. So I was like, okay, I'm going to get a hobby.
It's so easy to do real estate 100% of the time that you're awake,
Yeah.
but it's not healthy.
No. And so I bought this bike and it's like a ridiculous bike. Like it's raspberry pink.
Oh my God.
It has teal rims on the wheels. It was way too expensive. I should not have spent that much money on a bike. But like because I love it and because it's ridiculous, I'm like, oh my God, I need to go ride my bike because it's so fun and it's pink and it's ridiculous.
Do you think that when this episode airs, you could possibly put a picture of this bike?
Absolutely. Yes.
I know I'm really interested.
Yeah, it's like a totally ridiculous bike, but I love it. And I've been thinking about getting streamers for it because I'm like, wouldn't that just be
Oh,
so ridiculous? And so that's funny that you say that because like recreation was one of my biggest goals last year. But keep going about yours.
one of them is to learn how to ride a bike.
Yes, girl. Come ride my bike.
Well, hopefully we can just cross that one off the list real soon.
Yeah, and I'll try to teach you how to ride a bike. I don't know if I would be good at teaching you, but I'll try.
I had an ex-boyfriend of mine tried to teach me once, but it was not fun. He just like yelled at me the whole time because I wasn't doing it right.
Aw.
And I was so afraid to fall off of the bike. I mean, it's ridiculous for a woman to be like this afraid of falling off of a bike, but I just need to get over it and I just need to learn. Back to goals. That's one of them. And then one of my career goals is to give myself work hours. It's been a big learning curve figuring out my work schedule while also, being a mom and having all of the other things that I need to do. So now that my son is in daycare a couple days a week, I have set very strict work hours that I need to do every week. So from this time to this time on Tuesday and Thursday, I need to be working, and on Sunday mornings and, whatever it is. I guess one of my goals is just to really stick to that. My office is pretty far away, and so I have a home office, and it's so easy to be like, oh, but there's so much laundry to fold. Oh, but I could also, go upstairs and clean the kitchen. Do you work from home ever? Do you have that problem?
Very rarely. We got a puppy in October of 2018, and he's crazy. If I have my laptop in my lap, he basically hits it with his paw to close it.
My son does that.
It's so funny how puppies and sons do the same thing. If I'm home, he doesn't like being in the crate, but he's totally fine being in the crate when I'm not home. I basically come into the office. Like if I'm working, I'm going to be at the office. And then at night, I still do some stuff at night. But one of my goals for 2019 also is to set healthy boundaries, both in work hours as well as phone time, like how much time I'm on my phone and not spending time with my husband, things like that. I'm trying to be better at like not wasting the time that I'm at the office because I am an extroverted extrovert. I am the person that will be in your face the moment you walk into the office and being like, "Hi, how was your weekend? What you doing? Tell me everything about your life. What transactions you have going on?" I am the person that like is so easily distracted by people because I just want to know everything about them.
I remember when we worked in the same office that sometimes you get into a mood or another agent might get into a mood where they just don't feel like working. And so they kind of walk around looking for a conversation.
Yeah. And I am like 100% guilty. I do it all the time. And so I've been trying to be better at being like, okay, I'm at the office. I'm going to work. I'm not going to scroll through Facebook. I can schedule Facebook posts because I do a lot of social media stuff. I can do that, but I cannot go anywhere. I cannot go on a news feed. If I go on a news feed, my day is done. So I'm trying to be better at like setting boundaries. And so I've started setting a timer. So if I want to go interact with people on social media or whatever, I have a 15-minute time limit. And when the alarm goes off, I'm done interacting.
I love that.
I don't know where I learned that. It was one of my podcasts that I listened to. I listened to a ton of podcasts.
That's a really good idea. So it's kind of like a recess.
Yeah, like it's like, you know what? You have permission for 15 minutes. You can do whatever you want on social media. But then after that, you got to go back to work. And it doesn't work as well with like in person talking. But I think kind of everyone in our office is like on the same page of like, let's get to work,
Yeah.
at least right now with everyone's New Year's resolutions.
Yeah. That's a great idea.
And it's kind of like a break in the middle of the day. I started doing it twice a day. I still scroll more than 30 minutes a day, but like if I'm at the office, I set the timer.
That's a great goal. I also really want to shop less because I just want to save a lot of money this year. I don't know about you, but I have times depending on my mood where I feel like I really like spendy.
I don't, but where we spend the majority of our money is eating out, going to breweries, things like that. And so that's like one of our goals this year is to like eat at home more often. It's funny that a lot of our goals like coincide, but I feel like everybody has like a monetary goal every year.
The one thing that I'm really, really good at, I'm pretty proud of myself for this, is not eating out a lot.
Oh, I wish I was like that. I'm like, oh, I don't feel like cooking. Let's go out. Done, you know?
I used to be like that so much. I mean, we ate out so much. The amount of money that we spent eating out, like now that I think about, we could have done so much with that money. Once the baby came along, you know, you kind of just want to stay at home. And so I became really, really good at meal planning and grocery shopping and getting only what we need. Yeah, I'm pretty good at it. We could go like 3 months with only having eaten out twice.
Oh, I'm like really jealous, but that's one of my goals for this year.
We should do an episode about budgeting because that's something I feel like I really got good at in 2018. It was kind of a rough year financially because I wasn't expecting to not be working for most of the year. And we also decided to buy a house in that same year. So I stopped working and we also bought a house. And so we needed to do some serious tracking down and budgeting and really, really saving. We did a solid 5 months where we saved everything that came in. And I learned so much from that. I think that I'm going to be able to carry through the rest of my life because it opened my eyes to how much reckless spending I was doing and how much I just would throw money at things without even thinking about it. So, why are you anti New Year's resolution, Allison? Why are you such a hater?
Well, okay. So I guess I'm not really a hater of New Year's resolutions. I just like at the beginning of the year when everybody starts talking about how they're going to have a New Year's resolution and then everybody starts talking about how they failed like 3 days in, I feel like that is detrimental to yourself.
You feel like a lot of people set themselves up for failure?
Yes, because they're like, you know what? I'm going to lose weight. Okay, fine. How are you going to lose weight? When are you going to lose weight? What steps are you going to take to lose weight? That's why I'm anti New Year's resolution. It's different than setting a goal that you have like a plan to achieve.
Okay. So you feel like it's reckless goal setting.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's reckless goal setting. That's what I'll say. I am taking a stand. It is reckless goal setting. But I think having goal setting times at the beginning of the year, okay, fine, that's great. If you set New Year's resolutions that are things like, I want to eat at home more and cook dinner more so that I can save money and I can be healthier, and that will leak into like my financial life and whatever. That's great because you just set a New Year's resolution that like is an actionable step. But if you're saying I want to lose weight, that's my New Year's resolution, but you have no plan for it.
It doesn't have thought behind it.
Right. And like I have been the person that has like set goals and I really have no resolve, which is what the resolutions are. I have no resolve to hit them. I don't actually want to take those steps to hit that goal or that New Year's resolution. I feel like the whole New Year's resolution thing is maybe I just have a like preconceived notion about it that it's an unachievable thing. It's something that like, oh, if I just could do this in the year, that would be great. But it's like, okay, what are you doing in January to do that? What are you doing in February to do that? It's not just a New Year's resolution, you know?
I think it's really important if you're going to set a goal and if it's going to be at the beginning of the year that you set reminders and like check back in on yourself periodically so that you know that you're keeping up with it.
Yeah.
No one's putting a gun to your head and telling you to set a goal at the beginning of the year. You only do it if you want to and if you feel like it's something you can really attain.
Right.
I did have one super successful resolution a few years ago, and it was to quit smoking. And I have not had a cigarette since.
Yay.
And it was one of those things where I kept telling myself for the longest time I didn't want to do it anymore, but I wasn't actually taking the steps. And I just told myself, come January, that's it. It's over. No more. And that's what happened.
Yay. I'm proud of you.
Thanks. Are there any other goals that you want to set?
I obviously have my business goals for different people in different parts of the country. They would be like, that's a joke goal. Like I do that in a month. So
Oh, you mean the actual number?
yeah.
I don't know what my number is because this is going to be my first full year really working it in this new market, which is higher price than the market that I worked in previously.
Right.
So I don't know what that looks like.
Yeah.
I know what the average sales price is, but I don't know what it's going to be. I know that I want to have 10 transactions this year.
That's good.
So that's a number.
Yeah.
I know it's not that high, but I'm really trying to figure out like what I can do. I think that this is going to be a very kind of like experimental year as far as figuring out what I'm capable of, because last year I didn't work for 6 months, then I took a few transactions, and then I didn't work for a few months. I wasn't giving it my all.
I think for me, it's one of those things where it's like, okay, so my number of transactions that I want this year is 18. It's the same number that I had last year, and I did not hit that number. I hit my monetary goal because my average sales price went up, because one of my transactions the year before that was a $15,000 investment property for somebody. My average sales price was like super low that I was using for my business plan. So I set the goal for 18 last year, and I decided that this year I'm recycling that number, and that is just what I want to hit, period. But this year I'm working on some things. Like, I guess one of my goals is to do things a little bit differently than last year. I wasn't as intentional as I wanted to be in a lot of like my social media marketing and things like that. I just kind of like did ads whenever I felt the inspiration to do ads, where this year I want to run monthly ads with a strategy to specific types of people. And so I'm excited about that, like kind of being a little bit more intentional and kind of embracing myself a little bit more and my personality, using it to attract the people that
appreciate you.
yeah, that like appreciate my weirdness, and the fact that I will fall down the stairs while I'm going up to, open the lockbox because I'm like
Every time.
every damn time. Like I don't know, I just want to be working with people that like understand my personality and don't expect me to be the same as the realtors that they see on movies or TV shows or whatever.
I think that's really great. First of all, I don't know who wouldn't want to work with your personality because you are social butterfly and like full of energy. And I would have so much fun if you were my realtor, I'm sure.
But sometimes I'm like too much for people. Like they're like, you're too much. So I just want to be like truthful in my advertising that like I probably will be embarrassing and I will sing in the car if you're riding with me.
Think it's good to just embrace who you are and like find your Ally McP homies.
Yep.
Let's talk about our goal for this podcast in 2019.
I just hope that it like reaches the people that it needs to reach and that we can kind of like build up a community that is like amazing and supports each other and kind of like is its own thing. I don't have a defined goal for it because like I don't know what the community looks like yet because we haven't fully launched yet at the time that we're recording this. I just hope that it like takes on a life of its own.
If it could just reach one person that feels isolated or, like they don't have a community, if it could just reach one person and make them feel better in that sense, I would
Yeah.
be ecstatic. I know what it's like to feel that way. In a lot of times in my life, I have felt like an outsider. I don't know. This podcast is like my way of wrapping a big arm around anyone that feels that way and is doing real estate. And I just want to be like, hey, you're not alone. Let's hang out. let's talk.
Yeah. Let's be BFFs. Like, seriously. I just want it to be a place where, like, people feel safe to get ideas and chat about what their ideas are that, maybe they haven't implemented them yet. And they're not afraid that somebody else is going to jack it and use it somewhere else. Because at the end of the day, we're all different people. We all will attract the clients that are right for us. I just am tired of the rhetoric of like, put up this totally, generic social media ad and leads will come. That whole education side of things, like there are some education people in real estate that I'm like, heck yes, I will follow you until the cows come home. But the whole like, I'm going to show you how to get 99 million leads in 16 seconds. I just like cannot get behind that. And so I just want this to be like a place that people can talk about how they get business or what struggles they're going through or whatever. And like, it's just like a safe, happy place for people to come to.
When I started, I had someone tell me not to make Facebook friends with any other agents for fear that they might steal your sphere Facebook friends.
Oh.
I didn't follow that advice, but it just goes to show like that's how competitive and nasty it can get.
Yeah. And like if you're a person that goes onto another agent's Facebook and adds their friends to be your friends, please do not listen to this podcast. Turn it off, unsubscribe. Bye.
Put the phone down, walk away.
Seriously. Oh my God. Like, no. Like, this is a place where everyone can play nice in the sandbox. And if you can't play nice, get the F out.
If either of us mentions a strategy that we're doing or something we really like or a system that we enjoy, it's only because we want to share because we think it's awesome and we want everyone to do really well. Take it, use it, make it your own.
Right.
I have one story about something that happened up here in Northern Virginia. An agent created a bunch of different Facebook accounts to go onto different realtors' Facebook pages and write incredibly negative reviews. And the whole thing ended up like going to court. Yeah, super crazy. That shit happens.
And you do not belong here in the call before showing community. That person does not. Everybody can sit with us until you're a D-bag and then you can't sit with us anymore.
This has been such a fun episode to record. I'm really excited about this year. I am so excited about this podcast. I'm so excited about everything that you and I are doing, Allison. And I think that you're going to do great and you're going to kick butt and you're going to be awesome.
And you are too. You're going to kick butt. And I think this podcast is going to be a really great thing for both of us to kind of work through some things that we need to work through.
Can we get a shrink on here, please?
Yes, that would be wonderful. I think we're going to be pleasantly surprised by how great this year has been.
Well, I can't wait to embark on this journey with you, my dear.
I love you. I want to hug you.
Thanks, guys, for listening. As always, don't forget to subscribe to this podcast and find us on Instagram and Facebook.
At Call Before Showing on both. So the at Call Before Showing on Facebook is a business page, but there also is a community group, which you will find under community on Facebook. So if you just search Call Before Showing, it should come up. Thanks for listening. Have a good day, guys.
Catch you later.